morning. Welcome to our parents, our faculty and staff, our alumni and friends, and most especially, a warm welcome to the 58 members of the class of 2018. Graduates, take a moment and look about you and reflect on this question. Where are you? And who are you with? My guess is that you are all crafting an answer with similar themes. I'm here on the campus of Solebury School, surrounded by my fellow soon-to-be graduates, with my family, my friends, my siblings, my teachers. And all of that is quite true. But there is another truth if you alter your perspective. The psychologist Kurt Schneider once said to an audience gathered before him, "We're not just gathered here in an ordinary auditorium. We're all strapped in, seated together on a gigantic ball whirling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, nested in a galaxy hurtling through the depths of space and time at 1.3 million miles per hour." When I thought about you and this moment today, and the 7+ decades that lie ahead of you as you make your life's journey, I thought about the different, broader perspective Schneider offered his listeners. As you sit here on this gentle piece of rolling Pennsylvania countryside, surrounded by this magnificent vista, nested in a cocoon of people who love and care for you, in your final minutes as Solebury students, I would ask you to reflect for just a moment on how important it is to remain open to other perspectives rather than the first one that comes to mind. Most of you are 18. Most of you have been making your way to this moment since beginning school at the age of 5. That's 13 years, 676 weeks, 4,732 days, 113,568 hours, day after day after day, going to school. At the same time, on your planet, in your galaxy, traveling at 1.3 million miles per hour, you have traveled over the course of your formal school education 147,638,400,000 miles on your journey to this moment, a different perspective. Over these 13 years, at times this journey may best be described as a slog, at other times exhilarating, perhaps at other times boring or exciting or meandering, but always long. There were long bus rides, long days, long hours of homework, long hours of athletic practices or drama or music rehearsals. Some years seemed longer than others. Over these years, friendships have come and gone and come and gone. Great teachers were part of your journey, and you kept moving forward, kept showing up, kept at it. For the last chapter of your journey, you could have selected a different school, where just showing up would translate into a very good grade, but you selected Solebury School, where just showing up will not hoist you over any bar of success. Here you had to work, often very hard, to achieve your successes. What you have done, what you have accomplished, was hard, and it was great. To finish something you began so long ago, to be sitting here today, is a great accomplishment. It required of you tenacity, resilience, determination, grit, together with wonder and awe and inspiration and passion. On your trek to this moment, you have experienced the full rainbow, victories and defeats, joys and sorrows, accomplishments and failures. And over the course of these past 13 years, you have learned stuff, and you have learned to learn, and you have come to know yourself better. And now, you're about to leave us for a new adventure, a new journey, one which will assuredly offer you additional victories and joy and accomplishments, along with defeats and sorrows and failures. And at times, the journey ahead will offer you both hard and opportunities for greatness. Such is the essential rhythm of our life's journey. As you sit here now, wistfully giving leave to your thoughts, allowing them to tap dance across a treasure trove of memories unleashed in moments like this, your focus no doubt blurred, reminiscences of the past colliding with wonder about the future, all the while relishing with well-deserved satisfaction all that today's ceremony symbolizes for you. As I look ahead and wonder with you where the road will take you, I have these hopes for you. That among the stuff you learned during your years at Solebury, in your personal traveling kit, we, with you, have nurtured the following. First, an appreciation for perspective. The highs are never quite as high, nor the lows so low as they seem in the moment. When faced with the immediacy of whatever, take a breath, take time to think, and take the longest view possible before acting. And consider the words of Mr. Schneider. What other perspective might you bring to this moment? What other reality or realities might be at play that could help guide your path forward? Second, cultivate a sense of humor and find laughter no matter the challenge. Live your life as an adventure to be embraced, not a burden to be borne. With perspective, you can always find a reason to laugh, to lighten the burden for just a bit while you gather yourself to do the hard that faces you. You've already faced sorrows and defeats and failures, and yet you are here, drinking in the success of finishing something you began so long ago. And so you have in your kit already cultivated in yourself tenacity and resilience. Continue to nurture these two qualities. They are required traveling companions for the balance of your journey, if at the end you seek to declare your journey one well made. Finally, lean into the years that lie ahead of you with courage. Without courage, our world becomes very small, and absent the boldness required to fully engage our life's journey, we become very much like the small metal ball in an old-fashioned pinball machine, batted about by the many forces around us, but inconsequential to the outcome. Truth, integrity, responsibility, accountability. With courage, you can seize these as the beacons to guide you. Accept that you will fail. You will have disappointments. Fairness will not always be offered. But know that with perspective and tenacity and resilience, with a sense of humor, and with courage, your journey can be an adventure, one to embrace boldly, as long as you embrace the reality that most of our journeys are scattered with hard stretches, but if we want to taste great success, however measured, we must face the hard and squarely keep moving forward. Would you now please welcome our first senior speaker, Lakumi Diaz.
I remember one of my first experiences at Solebury was at the welcome barbecue before my freshman year. All of the new students sat in a circle, barefoot, playing icebreakers, and I thought to myself, this feels like summer camp. Now, looking back, it definitely hasn't been summer camp, but it hasn't been a stereotypical high school experience either. This is a place where the teachers are more than the people who we see in the classroom for 80 minutes, but are people who we have developed meaningful relationships with. It's a place where if you want to try something new, there's really nothing stopping you. And it is the place that has shaped me into the person that I am today. So, I'm going to tell you all the most important thing I learned in each grade through my time here. In 9th grade, I came to Solebury confused about how my schedule worked and was constantly getting lost. To add to my problems, we also followed a lunch schedule that broke it into first and second lunch, something no one could wrap their head around without actually experiencing it first. So on my first day, after spending a long time trying to decide which lunch I should go to, or if I should actually be going to class instead, I gave up and decided to go eat. I was almost done with my lunch when I saw Scott walking towards me with a piece of paper, and that turned out to be my schedule. He told me that I'd missed half my history class, but that it was completely fine. He would walk me to it now. That's when I learned that the teachers here really are aware of their students. This isn't a school where people can get lost in the crowd, and my first Solebury lunch was only the start of many such experiences when I was seen and heard by my teachers. In 10th grade, I learned that the correct answer to many of the questions my teachers were asking me in class was capitalism. But that was only at 30,000 feet. You always had to get lower to about 1,000 feet, because then it was about Iowa, the most important place in this country. The last time I made this joke was at senior dinner in January, and Tom remarked that I might walk up to receive my diploma and find a white sheet of paper inside. So Tom, I would love for you to know that even though I will not be attending Iowa State next year, I would still really appreciate graduating alongside my classmates today. In junior year, I learned a little bit about having a lot on my shoulders, both literally and figuratively. In my backpack, I had to rotate through 2 very thick Norton anthologies of American literature, an American history textbook, a French textbook and workbook, a college biology textbook, and a pre-calc textbook. But junior year was also the year of the standardized tests and the year college became something we all had to start seriously thinking about. And of course, there was always homework and after-school activities. So in 11th grade, I discovered how much I could realistically take on and how to balance my time. And I also learned that there is no shame in taking as many trips to the lockers as I needed. This year, I've learned about gratitude. Knowing that this year is my last year living at home with my family and my last year at Solebury has helped me realize how much everyone here has touched me and how much my friends and teachers have helped and supported me whenever I needed it. I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to get to know everyone that I have during my time here, and I would like to encourage everyone to thank someone you may not have thanked before, but who has made your year more meaningful before the end of today's ceremony. But out of all the lessons I've learned and experiences I've had over my 4 years at Solebury, if I think about the biggest way that I've grown, it's in my confidence, and that is because of the people who make up Solebury's community. My fellow graduates and I have taken the honors and AP classes that we didn't think we could. We have joined sports teams and taken part in theater, even when we were unsure if it was even our thing. And through it all, we have found that with the support of the people around us, we were in fact able to face its challenges. Solebury has given us all something important, and that is confidence. The confidence in our abilities, in our voices, in ourselves, and most importantly, the confidence to know that we are leaving this school able to go out into the world and be okay. Thank you to the teachers, faculty, families, and friends who are here today, and congratulations to the class of 2018.
Lukumi. Annette, I would like to see Lukumi's diploma before. Would you please welcome the Solebury School Chorus and Master Singers who will perform On Top of the World.
If you love somebody, better tell them while they're near, 'cause they just may run away from you. You'll never know quite when, well, then again it just depends on how long a time is left for you. I've had the highest mountains, I've had the deepest rivers. You can have it all, but life keeps moving. I take it in, but don't look down, 'cause I'm on top of the world, hey. I'm on top of the world, hey. Been waiting on this for a while now, paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, hey. Been holding it in for a while, hey. Take it with me, I can. Been dreaming of this since a child. I'm on top of the world. I've tried to cut these corners, tried to take the easy way out. I kept on falling short of something. I could have gave up then, but then again I couldn't have, 'cause I traveled all this way for something. I take it in, but don't look down, 'cause I'm on top of the world, hey. I'm on top of the world, hey. Been waiting on this for a while now, paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, been holding it for a while, take you with me if I can, been dreaming of this since a child. I'm on top of the world. 'Cause I'm on top of the world, I'm on top of the world, been waiting on this for a while now, paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, been holding it in for a while, take you with me if I can, been dreaming of this since a child. And I know it's hard when you're falling down, and it's a long way up when you make your round, but get up now, get up now. And I know it's hard when you're falling down, and it's a long way up when you make your round, but get up now, get up now. 'Cause I'm on top of the world, I'm on top of the world, waiting on this for a while now, pay my dues to now. I've been waiting to smile, it's hard when you're holding it for a while, take you with me if I can, dreaming of this since a child. I'm on top of the world.
Thank you, chorus. Would you please welcome senior speaker Olivia Heffernan.
Hello, my name's Olivia. Some of you have maybe heard of me, and I'm sorry for that. I'd like to jump right into this abomination of a speech with the most base expression of my first encounter with Solebury School. I distinctly remember when I visited Solebury's campus, the people were terribly friendly. Terribly so. Disgustingly, wretchedly, horrifically so. I had never been in a place where people would greet strangers with a smile and a wave. Even Solebury's interesting choice of architecture was fascinating. The glass walls of Abbey and how they screamed with light amazed me, and made the other institutions I attended seem somber and hollow in compare. After a regular interval of indecision, I firmly settled on Solebury as my school of choice. Solebury was to be the school where I would make new friends and grow into a well-rounded human being. So you can imagine my dismay when I received the word that I was denied entrance to Solebury School's class of 2018. I was told it was out of fear of my inability to prosper in a boarding environment. It was only through the benevolent, majestic creature known as Scott Eckstein that I was able to spend a trial night in the dorm. And miraculously, no horrible ramen-based cooking accident resulted in the destruction of the Holmquist dormitory. In fact, I have lived in Holmquist and called it my home for 4 years, and yet, as you can see, it's still standing. So, in reality, I cannot blame Solebury for their initial impression of me. I was an absolute mess in 9th grade, as some of you may remember, and as I am occasionally reminded. I used to perch atop the back of armchairs and hiss at both strangers and friends alike. Yeah. I told everyone that I was a brown belt and that I had earned the official title of aggressive individual in middle school. What school wouldn't want that? At my previous schools, I wasn't really encouraged to participate in the community or academics. As such, I didn't care about my education outside of what books the library supplied. It was only at Solebury that I really felt an urge to learn and push myself. And I made my first true reliable friends at Solebury. I'm not an expert on anything, but I think the reason I've succeeded at Solebury can be attributed to several factors. The opportunities that were provided to me were, and are, unlike any that I have seen at previous institutions. The first of these opportunities was Sherpa-ing, or being a tour guide for the school. I felt as though this position was particularly important, as often the tour guide is the first face a prospective student will see. I remember watching my fellow classmates apply to be a Sherpa and thinking, if they can do that, so can I. I believe that when a person or a place has value to you, it is essential to give back as much as possible. Holmquist Girls' Dorm has become particularly precious over the years, and its immense value motivated me to give back and become a proctor. Considering that boarding life was the most concerning aspect regarding my admission, I feel that I've taken to it rather well. Proctoring in Holmquist has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my very brief life. As I've said before, freshman year Olivia would not have been compatible with many schools. My first year, I felt that most of the proctors, while amazing at their jobs and completely respectable individuals, didn't really connect with me. During my application process for proctor, I made sure to mention that I wanted to be there for the weird kids that didn't really fit in, something that I hope that I've been able to do. And through my time spent as a proctor, I have learned that all kids are weird kids, some just a bit more than others. While I can't pinpoint exactly when the school or its community became particularly meaningful to me, I can locate its effect. The care that I have received over my time at Solebury has been more than adequate. I will admit that when I moved onto Solebury's campus for the first time, I was a bit pessimistic. How could I make a home out of some place that didn't even want me? The terrible friendliness of both the student body and the faculty forced me to open up. Over time, I began to accept the care that the community provided and in turn shared what care I had to give. You could say that I went from an on-fire trash can to a standard trash can. Now, for those of you that don't understand my personal lexicon or aren't used to it, I went from an angry, self-loathing child to somebody who stands outside in the rain comforting a sobbing freshman and does so happily. I suppose the principal achievement that I have made at Solebury is that intangible trait called confidence. I know that I can and should try new things. I should put myself out into the world instead of remaining isolated. 14-year-old Olivia would never have been able to give this speech. She wouldn't have been asked to, and she wouldn't believe that she could. Now I can say proudly that my name is Olivia, and I'm not too terribly sorry if you've heard of me. And finally, to the class of 2018, thank you for helping make this place a home for me. I hope that I've done the same for you. Now let's all promise to keep doing what we've been doing, putting ourselves out in the world, recognizing its value, and giving back what we can give.
Would you please welcome once again the chorus of master singers who will perform 100 Years.
I'm 15 for a moment, caught in between 10 and 20, and I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. 15, there's still time for you, time to buy and time to lose. 15, there's never a wish better than this, when you only got 100 years to live. I'm still the man. I'm 45 for a moment. The sea is high and I'm diving into a crisis, chasing the years of my life. 15, there's still time for you, time to buy and time to lose. 15, there's never a wish better than this, when you only got 100 years to live. 15, I'm alright with you. 15, there's never a wish better than this, when you've only got 100 years to live. Suddenly you're wise, another blink of an eye. 67 is gone, the sun is getting high. We're moving on. I'm 99 for a moment.
I'm dying for just another moment, and I'm just dreaming.
Counting the ways to where you are. 15, there's still time for you. 22, I feel her too. Seniors, you're on your way. Every day's a new day.
please welcome senior speaker Ben Weinberg.
So just so you know, I had many versions of this speech, and eventually I conceded to the fact that all of them were like 40% cheesy proverbs and 60% me sounding like my mom. They say we become like our parents, I just didn't expect it to be so soon. But anyway, I mean them all, so if I may ask, be open and lend me your ear. This community, this campus, this place is truly remarkable. As a certain man who taught me practically all of my math curriculum once told me, whose name may or may not strongly resemble his subject, and whose hair may or may not strongly resemble a fuzzy, worn-out tennis ball, as he once told me, Solebury gives you no reason not to be weird, no reason to be anything but yourself. Now, I've heard phrases like this a lot throughout my time here, about people being able to express themselves at Solebury, especially as a 6-year kid. But I don't think I really understood them until I took a step back this year and looked at everything I've been free to be here and everything I've become. For me, being myself means being a bright-eyed, bushy-haired, nice Jewish boy and theater kid who loves piano, video games, and people pursuing their dreams. Being at Solebury for so long, in a funnily wonderful way, I realized I've never had to consider what others might think of my interests. I just acted and played and expressed and beautifully didn't think to worry about how others might view me. Because at Solebury, no one has any reason to judge you for being you. Whatever you love, whatever drives you, whether it's some form of art, science, a sport, anything, you can do here without the fear of eyes or judgment from others holding you back. And I think that, on its own, makes Solebury a remarkable place. It's a remarkable thing for a community to foster. But that's not all Solebury does. To those willing to take the extra step, to discover or better themselves, Solebury will meet you and walk with you along that path wholeheartedly. If you just take the active first step, the faculty, staff, and spirit of this school will help you along the journey to self-confidence, maturity, and happiness. That is what makes Solebury remarkable. It's not just a place that allows you to be completely and genuinely yourself. It's a place that actively helps you do so. It doesn't just let you pursue yourself and passions. It loves you doing it. I think, after being here for so long, it's easy to forget to recognize how marvelous and magical of a thing that is for all of us to have. So I just want to fight to never let it go unappreciated or unnoticed whenever and wherever I can. So, Solebury teaches you something so powerful. It teaches you you. Or perhaps, more accurately, it helps you learn you if you reach out. And learning yourself, who you are and how you work, self-reflection, self-evaluation, that maturity and outside-in perspective is, I think, the most powerful skill in the entire world. Learning your emotional strengths and weaknesses within your individual thought process is what leads to true confidence. And as a result, true humility and the possibility of happiness. And that skill, that gift, leads to the most important thing in the world, the truly most powerful thing in the world, empathy. The power to go forward, recognizing that everyone along your path, everyone you pass, talk to, work with, conflict with, is a person with views and feelings just as you are, and not only recognizing it, but understanding it, understanding them, and as a result, respecting and loving them is the most important thing in the world. I believe everyone should, and everyone can have empathy, because we're all people. And if everyone went forward, knowing themselves, being willing to do the constant, never-ending work to self-improve that is life, all the while considering that everyone else is doing just the same, that everyone is made up of countless experiences, opinions, and feelings just as you are, then the world would be a beautiful place. And here, at Solebury, with the remarkable gifts the campus and community provide at our disposal, If we just take the first step, we can learn to have that self-awareness and empathy. Then, no matter how scary or negative or hopeless the world might seem, or however it might swirl and change around us, leaving us feeling like just a tiny dot in its huge galaxy, we can stand and be a light. That is what makes Solebarians remarkable. And then, when we move forward from here, if we do so being true to ourselves and with love in our hearts, then each and every one of us is making the sky just a little bit brighter and is making the world just a little bit more of a remarkable place. Thank you.
Class of 2018 selected Solebury School's counselor, Julie Lang, to address them.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Oh my God, I'm kidding. Wouldn't that be so school counselor of me, though, to start it off and get up here and just like recite a bunch of mantras? I kind of wish that I could, because it would have been easier than writing this speech has been. To be able to speak to you all at once and to leave you with some sort of inspirational message is pretty intimidating. I think that's because I'm just so honored that I was selected, and I really don't want to screw it up. My first day of working at Solebury was 4 years ago, and was many of your first days here too. I feel especially bonded with you as a class, and because of this, having the opportunity to speak with you all right before you're unleashed into the world beyond Solebury is kind of terrifying. That being said, I've decided to share a bit of my own story with you and be vulnerable, because that's actually the first bit of inspiring advice that I've got. Be vulnerable. Open up to others. Share your story. You all have stories and insights worth sharing. I know, because I've heard many of them. In your years on this earth, you've seen things, you've done things, and you've felt things that have built the foundation of who you are and who you will be. You're not even close to being done, but you're not at the beginning either. You are currently in that sweet spot of life where anything can happen, and you actually have some control over what that's going to be. So before we go any further, can we do one counselory thing? Just take one of those deep breaths that I'm always talking about, just for old time's sake. Take a look around you and soak in this monumental moment. Okay, do it with me now. Everybody's welcome. Breathe in through your nose slowly. Hold it for a few seconds. And then blow it out of your mouth like you're blowing out candles. And I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit better. Not really. After a lot of thought about what I wanted to say and the message that I wanted to get across today, I've narrowed it down to 3 things that I wish that somebody had told me. Number 1, be vulnerable. Stepping outside of your comfort zone is worth it and actually necessary. Number 2, trust yourself. Trust that somewhere inside of you, you know who you are and that your instincts are worth listening to. And number 3, embrace change. Know that change is inevitable and will always propel you forward. Which direction it propels you in is entirely up to you. So in trying to deliver these messages to you, I'm going to tell you a story. I tried a few drafts of a speech where I didn't talk about my own experiences, but the truth is that they all felt kind of impersonal and preachy. So while I don't want to make this the Julie show, the things that I know are things that I've learned because of experiences that I've had. So I decided to share bits of myself here at the risk of being judged, because that's something I want to encourage you to do as you move on to this next phase of your life. In order to connect with you, people need to know you. It's a scary prospect, this opening up, but it's a risk worth taking. My story begins when I was about 11. I have this extremely vivid memory of sitting and feeling sad in my 6th grade classroom, and also feeling that there was no one in the world who would care about or understand what I was feeling. We didn't have a school counselor, and seeing a therapist wasn't something that anyone that I knew casually did unless there was a significant problem. My problems weren't especially significant. I was moody, I was boy crazy, I was attention seeking, and I was clearly pubescent. So there I was, just feeling feelings as all kids do, but mostly feeling like there was no one who I could talk to about it. I distinctly recall telling myself to remember this moment. Remember that this is something that you should do for kids one day who don't know who they can talk to. That was something like that was inside of me. It was telling me it would be important later on. And those were my instincts talking to me. So please, another counselory thing, repeat after me. Everybody's welcome. Trust your instincts. Years passed after that moment in 6th grade, and although I was still a sensitive and some might say overly emotional child, I did all right. Academically, I did enough to get by, rarely more. Socially, high school was amazing in my memory, but I know for sure it felt kind of hellish going through it. I remember a lot of crying, a lot of drama, and a lot of heartache. Sound familiar? By the time I graduated, I was a hacky sack playing hippie slacker who wore more than my fair share of flannel. And don't judge me because it was 1993 and grunge was in full effect. I wound up enrolled in my safety school because I figured I could do well without doing a lot of work. I majored in mass communications and had grand dreams of being a TV show host. As I mentioned earlier, I was a little bit of an attention seeker. A few years in, I realized that I hadn't really grown in the ways that I had been expecting to. To be honest, I was just sort of coasting. I had thought that college would make me somehow different, more independent, and less self-absorbed. I knew I had to push myself, so I decided to study abroad in Australia, where I would be forced out of my comfort zone. Now, those of you who know me know that my comfort zone is like a really large zone, okay? It takes a lot to make me uncomfortable, but this did it. I sat on that plane for 24 hours, and I wished I could turn it around. What the hell had I been thinking? I was more alone than I had ever been, and I had no idea what was about to happen. I had no choice at that point but to swallow my fear and get on with it. I had to trust that my instincts to do this were right, and again, I had to be vulnerable. Repeat after me. Be vulnerable. Thank you. You guys are going to have opportunities like this presented to you in your life. My advice is to grab them. Say yes to almost everything, within reason and with your own safety in mind, of course. Some of you already have. For example, every one of you international students left home in your early teens to begin a new life here at Solebury School. I mean, how brave is that? That's crazy. Some of you have done exchanges in Europe. A few of you took a huge risk just by coming here in your junior or senior year after all these people had been together for a while. For some of you, venturing into the crowded dining hall every day was intimidating, or making an oral presentation in one of your classes felt paralyzing. But you learned that just because something is uncomfortable doesn't necessarily make it unsafe. In different ways, you have all been forced to be vulnerable and to step outside of your comfort zones in your time here. Own those experiences and recognize that you can do more of that. Jackson Becker, you took a deep breath and cut off your long, flowing locks. See, guys, venturing outside of your comfort zone can reap huge rewards. He's just as pretty with shorter hair. He is. That huge leap outside of my own comfort zone was completely 100% worth it. Those 6 months I spent in Australia were filled with some of the most wonderful moments of my life. I learned so much about myself and changed in ways both big and small. I was forced to learn to rely on and take care of myself as I had never done before. Also, I met a boy. I tried to fight the relationship because I'd gone there to get away from all that stuff and be independent, but this felt different. I followed my heart. Long story short, he was incredible. We fell quickly, madly in love, and were absolutely certain we would be together forever. When I returned to the States, I was a different person in so many ways. And I liked this new me more than I had ever liked the old me. I was proud, and I felt like I could do anything. That feeling lasted about 3 months. And then suddenly, and tragically, my boyfriend passed away. I was beyond devastated. I'll be honest here and say I did not handle it well. I fell into a pretty deep depression and quickly quit functioning. And as all of this was happening, it was time to graduate from college. In a complete fog, I graduated and moved home. And that big talk show career that I thought I'd have, it now felt like someone else's dream. I couldn't exactly move to New York City or LA to vigorously chase stardom in the shape that I was in. I could barely leave the house most days. Everything had changed in the blink of an eye. Everything I thought I'd do and have was no more. The next year is a blur, and I just couldn't get comfortable no matter where I went or around anyone who knew me before. I even drove across the country twice, but I just didn't fit anywhere. This change that had occurred in my life was propelling me forward, but I didn't know in what direction I should go. With a lot of therapy and a lot of support from my family and friends, I eventually knew I had to choose a path, and that little voice inside of me said I had to choose fast. So I made the choice to save myself. I took a job working at an outdoor learning center where for the first time in my life, my responsibilities were about helping other people and not just about me. It felt like something the old Julie would never have done. I needed to shock my system, and this is what growth looks like, people. I was not easy, but my intuition told me it was necessary, and thankfully I listened. I trusted my instincts. I was a complete fish out of water, but it worked. I wound up living on a farm that operated this program with a bunch of strangers. Being active every day and focusing on other people instead of myself was just what I needed. I realized I loved helping groups of people connect with each other and challenge themselves. I worked there for about a year, and by the time I was ready to move on, I had come full circle. I had been reconnected with myself. I had even met a guy, I know, again with a guy, but this guy would wind up being my husband and the father of my children, so that felt pretty serendipitous. I also need to highlight the fact that I remembered my vow to myself from long ago. I wanted to help people. All of this happened because I had accepted the changes that took place in my life, and I chose to work with them rather than against them. So for the last time, repeat it after me now. Embrace change. After remembering my passion for helping people, I did the one thing that my old slacker self swore that I would never ever do, and I went back to grad school to be a school counselor. My path had been winding and painful and definitely not the glamorous one I had envisioned, but it had brought me back to myself, and ultimately it led me here, and I love where I am now. Through following my instincts, being vulnerable, and accepting that change is inevitable, I think I've managed to muddle together a pretty great life. As I look at you all today, I'm just so grateful for all of it because it brought me here to this amazing place with you amazing kids and all of you amazing faculty and people. And it's been one of the most rewarding experiences. I love my job. It's frustrating at times and it's heartbreaking at times too, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Except maybe that TV show, because I think I really could have been good at that. I mean, right? I truly think that the reason that I'm like halfway decent at this is because of everything that I've been through myself. That's why I chose to share it with you today, and not just because some of you might say that I'm still a teensy bit of an attention seeker. The truth is that everything you will go through from this point on, the good and the terrible, will help you become the people you are meant to be and will help you get to the places you are meant to go. I wish that someone had pointed all of this out to me long ago because I think there's hope in what I'm trying to say. You are in some control of your future, but it is not entirely in your hands. This period of your life can be filled with a lot of pressure, but that pressure can feel lessened when you remember that so much of what's going to happen is just outside of your control. All you can do is do your best with what you're given and never give up. And so now you're off to find your own ever after. It's going to be exciting and terrible and amazing, and you will feel all sorts of feelings along the way. So just remember to trust yourself. Remember it's good to be vulnerable. And remember to embrace whatever change comes your way. And if you ever forget, just call me.
Class of 2018, I believe you are ready. We will now award your diplomas. Rick Tony, Director of Studies, will announce your names.
On behalf of our dedicated faculty, staff, and administration, I'm honored and privileged to announce the class of 2018. Jackson Becker. Paul Andre Benalil. Stanley B. Eli Seth Bramnick. Duling Tsai. Devin Tremont Brewster. Aaron Chang. Jackson Cameron Adams Clues. Christopher James Cuthrell. Barrett Jackson Daly. Ving Dao. Eric Anthony Dotterman. Keelan Christine DeGeorge. Lakumi Josephine Mocha Dias. Alice Duff. Jacob Tyler Epstein. Connor Michael Fay. Will Gao. Jacob Philip Gleason. Jacob Paul Goodman. Hannah Noel Golding. Samin Singh Hauser. Olivia K. Heffernan. Ellie Nicole Herman. Gareth Temple Fell Hornung. Yua Hu. Zahan Wang. Riley Zhang in absentia. Zixuan Jin. Callie Kerrigan. Elka Bixby Krieger. Jack Robert Landis. Yashin Lin. Yuen Lin. Clay Matthew Logston. Olivia Helen Sophie Lutz. Lorenz Alexander Markov. Sam Thomas Morrow in absentia. Michael William Melchiondo. Caitlin Maureen Miller. Alexander Lambert Mott. Samuel Evan Peel. Michaela Lee Riggio. Mei Pang Ying Rizzo. Benjamin Taylor Roxy. Cole Michael Schwartz. Nikita Yevgeny Shemilev. Song Yuhao Shi. Marcus Benjamin Simpkins. Maya Brittany Simpkins. Teva Rose Skowronek. Zachary Brian Turner. Yanbo Wong. Benjamin Jacob Weinberg. Chung Yin. Jendon Yu. Eli Ziff. Joshua Maxwell Zolkowitz.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in acknowledging the 90th graduating class of Solebury School and our newest alums. To the graduates, as you look ahead to the next journey and all the ones that follow, I would ask you to reflect on a thought Winston Churchill shared on the eve of the Second World War. Staring into a very uncertain future, Churchill said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts." As you leave Solebury, go forward with zest and ambition and purpose and courage. And don't forget to have some fun. This concludes our 90th graduation ceremony. Would you please join us for some food and drink in the dining hall? Thank you.